This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
President-elect Donald Trump seemingly doubling down on his plan for mass deportations.
For the death penalty for any migrant.
I'm Clayton Neville.
The attorney for two women who testified before the House Ethics Committee adds fuel to the fire over former Congressman Matt Gaetz' pending presidential appointment.
That was for sex.
I'm Jim Roope.
Moscow is warning the U.S. over letting Ukraine strike Russian soil with longer-range weapons. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Testimony resumed in the trial of the man accused of killing Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. I'm Norman Hall.
Whether various policy promises come to pass next year remains to be seen, but the nation's home builders are among the most optimistic. I'm Peter Shacknow.
Grocery chains are competing for a place on the Thanksgiving table.
Should I choose this item?
I'm Ed Donahue.
All ahead on America in the Morning. President-elect Donald Trump is responding to reports that he will declare a national emergency to carry out his campaign promise of mass deportations of illegal immigrants. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
President-elect Trump made his plan for immigration clear on the campaign trail.
Upon taking office, we will have an Operation Aurora at the federal level.
He's promising to go after gangs like Tren de Aragua, made up of Venezuelan migrants. That gang made the headlines for taking over a Colorado apartment complex.
We will send elite squads of ICE, Border Patrol, and federal law enforcement officers to hunt down, arrest, and deport every last illegal alien gang member until there is not a single one left in this country.
He told supporters he'd crack down on day one.
And I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or a law enforcement officer.
This week, Trump responding on social media to reports that his administration could use military assets to carry out mass deportations. In response, he posted, "True. On day one, I'll launch the largest deportation program in American history to get the criminals out."
This administration is complicit in the smuggling of millions of people into this country.
Former acting ICE Director Tom Homan's been named Trump's border czar.
We're going to take the handcuffs off ICE. ICE knows who they're looking for. They just haven't been able to go arrest them because Secretary Mayorkas has told them, to tone down the arrest. He said you can't arrest anybody unless they've been convicted of a serious crime.
He spoke with Fox News this week and blamed the Biden administration for what he described as historic numbers of illegal border crossings.
They're throwing thousands through the CBP-1 app, calling it a legal pathway, which it's not. They're throwing thousands through the CHNV. So if you add the CHNV, the CBP-1 app, what the Border Patrol's still catching, they're still historic numbers. But we're going to shut these two programs down.
Trump's plan and his team surrounding the border are now shaping up. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, also part of the team. She was picked as Homeland Security Secretary. I'm Clayton Neville.
As the House decides whether to vote to release Matt Gaetz' ethics investigation, the attorney for two women who testified about the former congressman's behavior to the House Ethics Committee is speaking out. Jim Roope has the latest.
Matt Gaetz is President-elect Donald Trump's choice for Attorney General. He's been under a House ethics investigation, but that investigation ended when Gaetz resigned from Congress after Mr. Trump put his name up for the AG job. That investigation included looking into allegations of sexual misconduct with minors, and illicit drug use. Attorney Joel Leppard says he was in the room as his clients testified to the committee back in July of 2017 about Gaetz' behavior, and his clients want the public to know first, as he tells CBS News, that they are not lying.
They did not come forward willingly. They've never spoken to anyone without the force of a legal subpoena. This actually did happen.
So what did happen? Well, Leppard tells several news outlets, including ABC, CBS, and NBC, that according to his clients in 2017 at a party they attended in Orlando, Florida.
She arrived at the party. She had sex with Representative Gaetz within minutes of her arrival. Later on, when she was walking out to the pool area, she observed to her right Representative Gaetz having sex with her friend, who was 17 at the time.
There's another woman who testified that she too had sex with Gaetz when she was a 17-year-old high school student. Leppard also alleges that Gaetz paid women for sex through Venmo.
The House was very clear about that and went through each. They essentially put the Venmo payments on the screen and asked about them. And And my clients repeatedly testified, what was this payment for? Well, that was for sex.
Gaetz vehemently denies the allegations and flat out told Fox News,
I have not had a relationship with a 17-year-old. That is totally false.
And amid the allegations and concerns voiced by even several Republicans, the president-elect is sticking with Gaetz. His campaign releasing a statement that reads, quote, Matt Gaetz will be the next attorney general. He's the right man for the job and will end the weaponization of our justice system. These are baseless allegations intended to derail the second Trump administration. The Biden Justice Department investigated Gaetz for years and cleared him of wrongdoing, end quote. House Speaker Mike Johnson is also pushing to keep the ethics probe sealed, saying Gaetz is no longer a member of Congress and it's not in the House's purview to release it, as Gaetz is now a private citizen. I'm Jim Roope.
Today's top stories are brought to you by Sleep Number. Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? It's the only bed that lets you make each side firmer or softer whenever you want. Save 40% on the Sleep Number Special Edition smart bed. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com. When America in the Morning continues, U.S. long-range missiles. Russia reacts after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Rain for the upper Midwest today. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
A large storm system centered over Minnesota will spread rain through the state today and eastward through Wisconsin, and then continuing southward along a cold front through Michigan into Indiana, Ohio, and then through the Tennessee Valley into the southeast around Mississippi and eastern Louisiana. This boundary will tap into moisture from tropical rainstorm Sarah through the southernmost portions of Mississippi into northern Florida with very heavy rain and thunderstorms in the region. Rain amounts along the coast can range from 2 to 4 inches with an AccuWeather local storm max up to 12 inches. And this moisture from Sarah will continue to spread into southern Georgia and the rest of northern and central Florida tonight, with lighter rain a little bit farther to the north into the mid-Atlantic. Ahead of this front, there will be clouds building into the eastern states with a few showers later in the day for some spots, but it will still be a milder day for late November with 40s in the north and warming to the 80s in the south. Meanwhile, on the western side of the storm, colder air will be wrapping into the system for moderate to heavy snow through parts of North Dakota into northern South Dakota and even western Minnesota. That will be especially late in the day and at night. Several inches of snow will be possible by Wednesday morning. And heading into the northwest, a powerful storm will be getting underway with an atmospheric river moving into the coastal regions from northern California into Washington. Several inches of rain will fall near the coast with heavy snow in the mountains from the Sierra Nevada into the Cascades. That's the weather across America. Tallahassee, Florida will have a cloudy day with heavy rain in the afternoon from tropical rainstorm Sarah, high for the day 77. Minot, North Dakota will have a windy and cold day with 1 to 2 inches of snow and a high of 34. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
I'm John Trout. Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Russia is reacting with threats to the U.S. lifting restrictions on how Ukraine can use American-provided long-range weapons. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
American officials say President Biden's shifting policy and easing limits on what Ukraine can hit with U.S.-provided systems. He'd ruled out the move for months over fears it would lead to a direct confrontation between Russia and NATO. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov says the decision adds fuel to the fire. Deputy White House National Security Advisor John Feiner says Moscow itself is to blame.
The fire was lit by Russia's invasion.
Feiner's not confirming the shift, which comes after North Korean forces arrived in Russia and are apparently deploying to help push Ukrainian troops out of a border region. UK security expert Patrick Geary figures that helped drive the shift, but
I think it's too late to have a major strategic effect.
And adds more uncertainty to a conflict that'll reach the 1,000-day mark. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
In Georgia, testimony has resumed in the trial of the illegal migrant accused of killing university nursing student Laken Riley. Correspondent Norman Hall reports. Audio courtesy WXIA-TV Atlanta.
Jose Ibarra, who entered the U.S. illegally 2 years ago, is charged with murder and other crimes in Riley's February killing. Prosecutors say Ibarra encountered Riley while she was running on the University of Georgia campus in Athens and killed her during a struggle.
On February 22nd, Jose Ibarra put on a black hat, a hoodie-style jacket, and some black kitchen-style disposable gloves, and he went hunting for females.
The defense argues evidence does not connect Ibarra. The killing added fuel to the national debate over immigration when federal authorities said Ibarra illegally entered the U.S. in 2022 and was allowed to stay in the country while he pursued his immigration case. I'm Norman Hall.
When we return, buyers facing new restrictions in the housing market. That's when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Thanks for listening. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, always putting clients' interests first. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Here's CNBC's Peter Schacknow.
More new homes may be coming out of the pipeline in the months ahead if the nation's home builders get their wish. Home builder sentiment rose to a 7-month high for November, and expectations for sales in the next 6 months jumped to a 2.5-year high. That's according to the latest sentiment measure from the National Association of Home Builders.
The builders cited the Republican sweep in the election and potential deregulation. President-elect Trump had promised to open federal lands for home builders. Builders desperately need more land, and that is why M&A in the home builder space is having a record year in dollar volume and close to a record in the number of deals.
That's CNBC senior real estate correspondent Diana Olick. We'll be getting another snapshot of the housing market this morning when the government reports housing starts, a measure of newly begun construction, for the month of October. For those on the other end of the equation, namely buyers, things may be getting tougher. In a yearly survey from the New York Fed, 21% reported being rejected for credit cards, auto loans, and other types of borrowing, and rejection rates for mortgage refinancing and auto loans were at the highest since the Fed began the survey back in 2013. We already know overall consumer retail spending has been strong the past few months. Today, we'll start to get an idea of which retailers are benefiting the most. Walmart and Lowe's report quarterly earnings this morning, with Target on the calendar for tomorrow. Among the more reluctant spenders these days, millionaire and billionaire investors in high-end art, according to CNBC wealth reporter Robert Frank.
More than $1 billion worth of art is headed to auction in New York just this week. Sotheby's, Christie's, and Phillips hoping this will be the turnaround. Sales were down 26% in the first half of the year. The art market has been in correction now for 2 years.
Even with a comeback, art market watchers expect total sales at the November auctions to be just half of what they were back in 2022.
Record-setting investment on a new college stadium. Peter, tell us about that.
That will be happening at Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois, where a record $850 million will be spent. That is the most ever for a college football stadium project. And it will be privately funded, mostly by the Ryan family, longtime benefactors of Northwestern. Family member Pat Ryan Jr. says the choice was clear between renovating the existing stadium, known as Ryan Field, or building a new one.
The last stadium was built 100 years ago. Done wrong, it's mediocre. Done right, it's a little more expensive, but it becomes an asset for the community, becomes a year-round, 365-day space. It's a lot more than a football stadium in the way if they're built right today.
The new Ryan Field is set to open in 2026 with sightlines much closer to the field and all of the 35,000 seats protected from the weather by a canopy.
CNBC's Peter Schacknow. Prices soar for that Thanksgiving feast when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court has ruled that all of the state's county election officials must cease counting mail-in ballots that arrived on time but in envelopes without the correct dates handwritten by voters. The order was part of a lawsuit filed by the Republican National Committee and Pennsylvania's Republican Party in a case stemming from absentee voters not fully complying with ballot rules. The state's currently recounting all ballots after the Senate election between Republican David McCormick and Democrat Bob Casey, with McCormick leading by just over 17,000 votes. Shifting gears, even though prices may have come down slightly at the supermarkets, correspondent Ed Donahue reports on ways to save money on that Thanksgiving feast.
Walmart has a 29-item offer, a frozen turkey and side dishes for less than $55. It serves 8, adding up to less than $7 per person. Brenda Holloway in Columbus, Ohio, says grocery shopping, especially now, is stressful.
Should I choose this item with this pricing, or should I not, because you have other bills and things that are coming up now?
Target's version of a Thanksgiving meal for 4 people costs $20. Robin Wenzel is with Wells Fargo Agri-Food Institute.
Be proactive, shop around, look for the deals. There are a lot of retailers that are offering bundles out there, but you can also shop with store brands and a mixture of some name brands and still save money.
Wenzel says, for example, some name brand versions of cranberry sauce are less expensive than the store brands. I'm Ed Donahue.
It's creeping up fast. Thanksgiving, a week from this Thursday. America in the Morning for Tuesday, November 19th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer, Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour, the latest pushback over 2 Trump nominees.
Controversial school curriculum in Texas. I'm Clayton Neville.
Spirit Airlines officials say they're looking to reboot as the airline struggles to regain its footing after the pandemic. I'm Jackie Quinn.
A random New York City stabbing spree leaves 2 dead and 1 in critical condition. I'm Pamela Furr.
The government's opening 2 investigations into Ford recalls that may not have worked. I'm Rita Foley.
Many loved her as an actor, and now fans of Betty White will soon see her face on a forever stamp. I'm Shelley Adler.
Back after these messages. This is America in the Morning. AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy has a check of the nation's forecast.
In the Northwest, a powerful storm will be getting underway with an atmospheric river moving into the coastal regions from Northern California into Washington. We'll have several inches of rainfall near the coast with heavy snow in the mountains from the Sierra Nevada into the Cascades. Along with the rain and snow, there will be powerful winds with some gusts over 60 miles per hour possible. And additional heavy rain and snow can continue for the rest of the week. In the rest of the West, it's going to be largely quiet. There'll be a few snow showers in the central Rockies. Otherwise, we'll look for sunshine in the southwest and continuing into the southern plains. And then heading into Minnesota, there is a large storm centered in the region with rain that will continue much of the day. This will also cover areas eastward through Wisconsin and continuing along a cold front through Michigan into Indiana and Ohio, and then southward through the Tennessee Valley into the southeast around Mississippi and eastern Louisiana. That boundary is going to tap into the moisture from tropical rainstorm Sarah through the southernmost portions of Mississippi into northern Florida with very heavy rain and thunderstorms in the region. Rain amounts along the coast will range from 2 to 4 inches with an AccuWeather local storm max of 12 inches. And this moisture from Sarah will continue to spread into southern Georgia and the rest of the northern and central Florida tonight, with lighter rain continuing farther north into the middle Atlantic. Ahead of this front, there'll be some clouds building into the eastern states with a few showers later in the day for some spots, but it'll still be a milder day for late November with highs in the 40s in the north and warming to the 80s in the south. Meanwhile, on the western side of the storm, there will be colder air wrapping into the system with moderate to heavy snow through parts of North Dakota into northern South Dakota. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
I'm John Trout. Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Two of Donald Trump's cabinet nominees are facing opposition from within their own party. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports that Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth is reopening an old debate over whether women should serve in combat roles. And Donald Trump Jr. is defending his father's cabinet picks, including Matt Gaetz as Attorney General.
President-elect Trump's pick to head the Pentagon is reigniting a debate many thought had long been settled, whether women should be allowed to fight on the front lines. Nearly 9 years ago, Defense Secretary Ash Carter and the military opened all combat jobs to women who qualified.
They'll be able to serve as Army Rangers and Green Berets, Navy SEALs.
But Pete Hegseth made clear women should not be Rangers or SEALs or in other jobs where he says strength is a differentiator. If confirmed as defense chief, he could try to end the practice. For Iraq veteran Allison Jaslow,
some women are objectively tough as hell and are a great fit for the combat arms. And I think it's wonderful that at least during my adult lifetime, we went from that not being a possibility to it now being a possibility for any young woman in the country to be able to serve her country in uniform and in the toughest jobs if she wants to.
Hegseth insists the military lowered standards to get more women into combat roles, while the services say they did not. The question for retired Navy Captain Lori Manning:
who's going to replace them? Men. And we're having trouble recruiting men into the Army right now, so what will they have to do?
And with services having trouble meeting recruiting goals,
they'll either have to bring the draft back, I don't think that will go down well, or they'll have to lower the standards for men.
As President-elect Trump continues filling his cabinet with unconventional choices, his son argues it's exactly the change voters demanded. Donald Trump Jr. says this is different than 8 years ago, when his father stocked his administration with more traditional names. Now,
we actually know what we're doing. We actually know who the good guys and the bad guys are. We know who the guys are fake.
The younger Trump yesterday on Fox News Channel's Sunday Morning Futures.
It's about surrounding my father with people who are both competent and loyal.
Some may have trouble getting through the GOP-led Senate. Trump Jr. suggests that's exactly the idea.
They are going to be actual disruptors. That's what the American people want, but Washington, D.C. doesn't want that.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
State education leaders in Texas will vote on a controversial curriculum this week that includes heavy use of biblical teachings. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
On Friday, the Texas Education Agency will take their final vote on its proposed curriculum. Now, if adopted, it'll be up to the individual school districts in the state whether or not they want to implement it. Saying yes, though, would come with a financial boost for the districts. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has been outspoken on aspects of school curriculum in recent years.
The school curriculum is getting away from that reading, writing, math, and science and teaching things like a woke leftist radical agenda that gets away from the fundamentals.
The governor often touting the catchphrase,
our schools are for education, not for indoctrination.
The TEA's elementary school reading and language arts curriculum has faced backlash from some parents and faith leaders. Critics say the lesson's heavy use of biblical teachings could lead to bullying and isolation of non-Christian students and give the state far-reaching control surrounding students and religion. Amanda Tyler is the executive director for the Baptist Joint Committee for Religious Liberty.
While I am pleased that some of the factual errors have been corrected in the revised version of the instructional materials, the systemic issues of incorporating Bible stories into the reading and language arts curriculum in ways that are neither age nor subject matter appropriate remain.
Jonathan Covey's the policy director for Texas Values and argues for the curriculum.
Government cannot violate religious liberty by establishing a religion of secularism by giving preference to those who believe in no religion over those who have religious beliefs.
The so-called bluebonnet lessons are also drawing criticism from some who question why the TEA hasn't released who wrote the lessons. Others believe the curriculum shows favoritism toward Christianity over other religions. I'm Clayton Neville.
More turbulence in the skies as low-cost carrier Spirit Airlines files for bankruptcy protection. As correspondent Jackie Quinn reports, the expected Chapter 11 move comes following failed mergers with JetBlue and Frontier Airlines.
Restructuring's in the works for the financially struggling Spirit Airlines now that it's filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The budget air carrier lost more than $2.5 billion since the start of 2020, and it still hasn't reached profitability again. And its debt payments are more than $1 billion over the next year.
The company that's been in trouble, not made money since before the pandemic. They filed what's called a prepackaged bankruptcy. They're going to try and stay in business. They're telling customers, hey, go ahead and book flights and use your frequent flyer points like you normally would, and we'll keep paying the employees. They will reorganize and come out as a new company that's going to be owned largely by the people who hold its debt.
Spirit officials say customers can continue to book and fly without interruption. Existing tickets, credits, and loyalty points are still valid, as well as affiliated credit cards and other membership perks. In August, the CEO said they were working to deploy a new reimagined product into the travel market. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Spirit Airlines had previously announced it was cutting its flight schedule through the end of the year by 20% to save money. Car maker Ford facing new federal investigations. That and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. I'm John Trout. Mayhem on the streets of New York City after what police call a stabbing spree. 3 people killed in the incident. A suspect with a long rap sheet is now in custody. Pamela Furr reports.
Police say the first victim was stabbed just before 8:30. He was a 36-year-old construction worker who was pronounced dead later at Bellevue Hospital. Then about 2 hours later, a 68-year-old man fishing near 30th Street was stabbed. He was also pronounced dead at Bellevue Hospital. Then a 36-year-old woman stabbed near the UN around 10:55 local time. Police have recovered 2 knives and have one person of interest in custody. He's a 51-year-old Hispanic who appears to be homeless. At a news conference, Chief of Detectives Joe Kinney says there was no apparent reason for the attack.
These attacks seem to be unprovoked, that he just walked up to them and began to attack them with the knives.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams.
This investigation is going to continue to unfold, and we want New Yorkers to know that we are not looking for any additional suspects at this time.
The suspect has 8 prior arrests, and Adams says there's a real question as to why he was on the street.
It is a clear example of the criminal justice system and mental health system that continues to fail New Yorkers.
I'm Pamela Furr.
A neighborhood celebration in New Orleans turns tragic as 2 shootings left a pair of people dead and 10 others wounded. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
During a crowded second-line march by the 9 Times Social Aid and Pleasure Club in the St. Roch neighborhood, the joyful celebration was interrupted by gunfire. Officers located 8 victims with gunshot wounds who were transported to a local hospital. A 9th victim arrived via private vehicle. Less than an hour later, 9 blocks north on Albanastor Avenue, there was more gunfire, and officers located 2 victims. EMS pronounced 1 victim deceased at the scene, and the 2nd victim was pronounced at a local hospital. A 3rd victim is listed in stable condition. New Orleans Police Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick said detectives didn't immediately know if the incidents were related. Investigators are asking for anyone with information to contact the Homicide Department. I'm Jennifer King.
Car maker Ford is now facing 2 new government investigations just days after they paid a $165 million fine over failing to comply with federal recall requirements. Correspondent Rita Foley reports.
The largest investigation covers thousands of Ford Bronco Sport SUVs and Maverick small pickups. In April, Ford recalled some Bronco Sports from model years 2021 through 24 and Mavericks from 2022 and 23. They were recalled because they can suddenly lose power. But the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says there have been 5 complaints from owners whose vehicles lost power after getting the recall fix. The other investigation covers thousands of Ford Expeditions from 2019 through 2020. Ford recalled tens of thousands of the SUVs in February because the driver and front passenger seatbelts can tighten up and hold people, though there doesn't seem to be a crash apparent. The agency says it has complaints about the problem from 3 owners whose vehicles were not part of the recall. I'm Rita Foley.
The newly announced chair of the FCC is likely to kill the on-again, off-again net neutrality bill that is pending a vote in the House. Here's Chuck Palm with today's Tech Report.
In not a very big surprise move, President-elect Trump has already picked Commissioner Brendan Carr to head up the FCC. Carr is one of only 5 commissioners for the FCC since 2017 and has spent much of his tenure arguing against regulatory overreach. Commissioner Carr has been very outspoken against the net neutrality rules that has been championed by his current boss, FCC Chair Jessica Rosenworcel. And now net neutrality once again seems like it's dead on arrival. Trump said in a speech on his Truth Social platform that called Carr a warrior for free speech who will end the regulatory onslaught that has been crippling America's job creators and innovators. Carr declared on Friday in a thread that denounced Apple, Google, Meta, and Microsoft for being members of the censorship cartel that must be dismantled. Carr has also denounced the site NewsGuard, which is a tool that shows the trust rating of over 7,500 news and information websites. For more tech news, find me on social media at Chuck Palm.
With a check of Tuesday sports on America in the Morning, here's Robert Workman.
NFL Week 11 wrapped up Monday night as the Texans trampled the Cowboys 34-10. Joe Mixon ran for 109 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's 5 straight losses for Dallas. Week 12 opens up Thursday night with the Steelers at the Browns. The new college football playoff table comes out tonight. Baseball's biggest award week is underway. The pitchers swept the rookies of the year. The Pirates' Paul Skeens and Luis Gil of the Yankees. Skeens, the number 1 overall pick in last year's draft, came up in May, went 11-3 with a 1.96 ERA, the lowest for any pitcher with at least 20 starts in the live ball era since 1920. He started the All-Star game and is a finalist for the NL Cy Young Award. Gil won 15 games for the AL champion Yankees, less than 2 years removed from Tommy John surgery. Tonight, we get the managers of the year. Tomorrow, Cy Young winners, league MVPs are announced on Thursday. NHL, the Capitals punished Utah 6-2. 2 more goals for Alex Ovechkin. He now leads the league with 15 and has 868 for his career. That's just 26 away from Wayne Gretzky's record. Ovechkin did leave the game in the 3rd period with an apparent leg injury, but as we know, Russian machine never breaks. Blue Jackets blasted the Bruins, Avalanche repelled the Flyers, Canadiens shut out the Oilers, and the Ducks down the Stars. NBA make it 6 wins in a row for the Magic. They blocked out the Suns 109-99, 32 for Franz Wagner. Bucks edged the Rockets 101-100, ending Houston's 5-game run. Damian Lillard hit a driving layup with 4 seconds left for the win.
Being aggressive and attacking and shots not falling, but the game is still close. What's expected of me on the team is not to necessarily make a big shot or to, be the guy doing it, but I got to be in attack mode.
Raptors snap a 7-game skid with a win over the Pacers. Knicks walloped the Wizards, 9 straight losses for Washington. Heat, Bulls, and Hawks were winners. College basketball wins for number 3 Gonzaga, 4th-ranked Auburn, and number 5 Iowa State. That's Tuesday Sports.
Thank you, sir. When we return on America in the Morning, Diddy's lawyers roll up their sleeves after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Lawyers for music mogul Sean Diddy Combs accusing prosecutors of seizing privileged information in an effort to keep him behind bars until his trial starts next May. Correspondent Margie Zaraletta reports.
The attorneys for Sean Diddy Combs are asking for an immediate hearing to address what they call outrageous government conduct. They say that information gathered in a raid on Combs' jail cell in New York was cited in papers that prosecutors filed on Friday opposing a proposed $50 million bail package. Prosecutors had accused Combs of trying to contact witnesses and orchestrating social media campaigns to taint the jury pool. Combs' attorneys say the information cited included confidential notes to his lawyers. A spokesperson for prosecutors declined comment. Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges that he coerced and abused women and minors for years. I'm Margie Zaraletta.
Actor Kevin Costner is speaking out about the fan backlash to Yellowstone. Kevin Carr has that story.
After the popular Western series Yellowstone returned to TV last week, many fans expressed outrage over how the fate of John Dutton was resolved. Dutton, played by Kevin Costner, was the patriarch of the series for 4.5 seasons. This summer, Costner announced he would not return to the series for the end of the 5th season in order to focus on his 4-part theatrical American Western saga Horizon. In the mid-season premiere, John Dutton was killed off in an apparent suicide, which turned out to be a murder conspiracy plot. However, many fans were not happy with this. At the Governor's Awards in Los Angeles on Sunday night, he caught up with Costner and got his thoughts on the fan backlash.
Well, fans have a voice in things, and they choose to follow.
Costner explained that he had some suggestions about the end of John Dutton, but they did not unfold.
I suggested a while back ways to do it.
I know you said you had 2, so what were they?
A couple 2 ways. Well, I'm not going to exactly say it now.
Last week on the Michael Smerconish program, he said something similar regarding how his character arc could have ended.
But yeah, I had come up with 2 possible endings back when it wasn't going to go as long as it did go.
In the end, Costner told E! that he is ready for the challenge of bringing all 4 Horizon movies to the big screen.
When it comes to something I want to do, sometimes it's a bigger struggle, and while I don't like it, I'm up for it. It's like, okay, this is what it has to be. For me to bring a movie to America and around the world, that's what I'll do.
I'm Kevin Carr.
A new honor is coming soon for legendary actress Betty White, who will be forever remembered on a postage stamp. Correspondent Shelley Adler reports.
One of the many great things about Betty White, who died a few weeks shy of her 100th birthday, her approach to aging in this 1995 AP interview.
I'm sad for the people that if they turn 30, I'm almost 40, and they waste a whole decade belaboring the fact that they're growing older instead of enjoying that decade.
And she would be thrilled to find out that she will be on a 2025 Forever stamp, although the post office has not announced a release date yet. White, who's known for roles in The Golden Girls, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, and Boston Legal, died in December of 2021. I'm Shelley Adler.
America in the Morning for Tuesday, November 19th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.